Hello, West Virginia Orthopedic Society. This is Dr. Fred Pollock, and I was asked by Diane Slaughter to give a few comments of what I have learned in retirement. I'm age 77, and I want to say in full disclosure, this is not my boat. This yacht is owned by one Richard Portola of the Portola hot dog business. And of course, the name of the boat is Top Dog. I have heard, I don't know him, I've heard he's a fellow Chicagoan and he likes to play poker. So someday I hope to win this boat from him in a poker game. But that has not been my retirement plan. So here's a few comments of what I've learned this year in retirement. A few years ago, my wife and I bought a place in Naples, Florida, thinking about retirement. It's a very nice town. It has some of the best fishing in the world. If you like to eat grouper, it's the place to go. A lot of um, golf courses, a lot of pickleball, and a lot of nature. It's as far south as you can go in Florida until you hit the swamp and the alligators. It's the location of the Arthrex campus, started by one guy who still owns the company. It's never gone public. Over 20,000 orthopedic surgeons have come there to study and help develop new products and devices, and it's an amazing place to visit. I have been living and working in Charlie West over the past 35, actually 37 years. I started out working for a group practice in Charleston, and 15 years ago I was hired by the hospital, CAMC, to start the orthopedic trauma group. We now have 5 full-time orthopedic traumatologists and 7 mid-levels, and an excellent administrative staff led by Belinda and Aaron. Shout out to these excellent ladies. So I have, over the past 12 years, had a non-operative practice of orthopedics. At age 64, I decided to retire from surgery, and the hospital offered that I continue to work there in a retirement job 2 half days a week, and it's been a lot of fun. At age 77, I decided to hang it up. My wife Carol has encouraged this idea of retiring. She's an avid pickleball player and a successful recipient of rotator cuff surgery done by one of my partners, and she's darn good. So, before I go into some basics, I want to just brag about my children. Here's a picture back in the day of my 3 sons. And my point here is really time flies, as you all know. This is a few years ago, and look at my youngest son, the baby, who's in my right arm. And here he is about 15 years later, which is like literally the blink of an eye, it seems. And here he is a few years later, and he's now an anesthesiologist at Cedars-Sinai in LA. Here is my daughter, who is in family practice in San Francisco, working for UCSF, and she's an expert in HIV treatment, especially in pregnancy. Here are pictures of 4 of my grandchildren taken 2 years ago. This photo was taken 2 years ago. Since then, I have 2 more grandchildren. So my oldest of 6 grandchildren is only 6 years old. Because I trained for a long time and had a lot of adventures before starting a family, and my children all did the same. That's why I have such little grandchildren. My children live all over the U.S., including Hawaii, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Charlotte. They are all doctors. Two of them are physicians, MDs, and two are PhDs. I joke that PhDs are doctors that don't actually help people, but of course that's a joke. So, where do you live when you retire? Should you live where your parents live? Should you live where your children live, or none of the above? It just depends on how much you want to participate in child care. And as you know, J.D. Vance kind of assigned us to do this when he said during the campaign this fall that problem with child care should be taken care of by having the grandparents raise the children. So, retirement. When do you retire? Well, pilots are required to retire at age 65 if they work for commercial airlines. Any old person can go buy an airplane and fly it, but to work as a commercial pilot, the FAA says you've got to retire when you're 65. The pilots union challenged this about 2 years ago and said they should be able to work till they're 67 because there's a pilot shortage, and there's no actual scientific evidence that pilots are any less competent when they're 67 than when they're 65. This cartoon, the fellow is saying, there's Grandpa driving in the left lane with his left turn signal on. So there was a movement a few years ago for physicians to be tested for their cognitive skills. And this was done at Yale University. And the project was a total failure because there were lawsuits that were initiating regarding age discrimination for physicians. This is a chart by a financial group, obviously trying to invest your money for you. And it's the vertical graph, the y coordinate is happiness, and the x coordinate is age. So they picture that the happiness goes down as the joys of youth fade and the responsibilities of work come into light. The red line is happiness when you're retired. As you see, it's higher when you're retired, but I don't know any orthopedic surgeons who've retired at age 40. But notice they all eventually go downhill, which reminds me of the joke of what the man said who had fallen off the 60-story building. As he passed the 40th story, he said, so far so good. So we all end up as splats on the sidewalk anyway. Here's a chart from the AAOS of the average age of orthopedic surgeons. As you see, in 2008, the average age was just over 50. By 2018, it was 56. And so this could be related to doctors putting off retirement for either financial reasons or probably it's because they just feel good. They feel healthy, they're doing a good job, and they don't feel like retiring. The average age that orthopedists plan to retire is age 60. The average age that they do retire is age 69. And this is another chart of orthopedic surgeons over at different age groups. And the red bar represents part-time jobs, and the blue bar represents full-time jobs. And by age 70, most of the orthopedic surgeons are working part-time. Here's another one of my neighbors. Now, in some countries, they have mandatory retirement for physicians, not in the US. Note at the bottom, in communist countries, physicians who are male at age 60 are required to retire, and age 55 for women. Note these jobs are for federal employees that require mandatory retirement, including air traffic controller age 56. Note nuclear materials couriers at age 57. Notice that age 57 for nuclear materials couriers. Yet the ironic part of it is that the man who actually has the nuclear football with the codes is 79 years old. Here's another one of my neighbors, the snowy egret. So here is the net worth of physicians in general. And as you see, over age 70, the purple line is physicians who have more than $5 million in their net worth, is 22%. Also notice that physicians age 28 to 34, 4% have a net worth of over $5 million, which speaks to the advisability of marrying a rich girl. So where are you going to get all this money? My favorite quote, or at least this is the quote of the day, is that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. That's Albert Einstein's quote. He was asked what the most powerful force in the universe is, and he said compound interest. He also said, I never said half the crap people say I did, so take that for its worth. Basic financial principles. You need to save 10 times what you expect to be your annual income when you retire. If you expect to bring in $400,000 a year after retirement, you need to have saved $4 million. The other axiom is regarding the amount of money you should have in equities. 100 minus your age is the percentage of your portfolio you should have in equities. So when you're age 30, you should have 70% equities. When you're age 70, you should have 30% equities. So my plan, working for CMC 2 days a week, 2 half days a week, unfolded when I came back from Florida in January to this. My driveway had ice and snow, and then another ice, and then another layer of snow, and even my dog thought it was crazy to come back. So within 2 weeks, I had retired from my retirement job. The doctor with his hands on me is Dr. J.P. Maurer. The cake says, "Happy retirement, Dr. Pollock." And everyone said the same thing to me: you deserve it. So one nice thing about being an employee is you don't have anything to sell. You don't have anything to buy when you leave. You just hang up your head and walk out the door. This is a shot of one of my new hobbies, which is taking apart and putting together electric bikes. My wife and my stepdaughter are in this picture. Here are some more of my neighbors. I also like droning and aerial photography. This is a picture of Naples Bay. So, in summary, number one, retire if you feel that someone can do a better job, if you have the means. Number two, you want to be the best one for the job. You don't want to do difficult cases in your later years of practice. You don't want to have this as the glass you're drinking whiskey out of. The problem with the practice of medicine is 100% of it is indoors, which can get on your nerves after a while. So, in summary, think about a retirement job. You may want to work after your surgical skills may have been deteriorating. The problem is it's up to you to decide. Just like driving, there's no upper limit. There's no upper limit to do surgery. But think about this. If you like skiing, think about a retirement job in the ski industry, or on the boards of various groups that you might have interest in, or non-operative orthopedics as I did. So I want to say this before I close, that I'm still a Mountaineer fan. I still love country roads, and once a Mountaineer, always a Mountaineer. This is my email address. Unfortunately for you all, I've already taken this email address many years ago, boneheadwv@gmail.com. So if you have any questions or you want any free bad advice, shout out to me. Thank you.